I realized a long time ago that the sales conversation is nonlinear, and I recognized that before a lot of people did. It's just not what you see your sales process on a slide that starts with, targeting, qualify, discovery, solution development, presentation, proposal, pricing, negotiation. It just doesn't go in that straight linear line anymore. And clients are bringing people in and out of these conversations, and they drop out. Sometimes they come back right away. Sometimes new people come in. Like there's all these things happening. And I realized, like, if you don't have a structure like the one that I was working from, which is like, what conversations do they still need to have? And then how do I give them a value proposition for that meeting? Because that's what I was trying to figure out. What's the value proposition for the meeting so the client can say yes? Because I know what I want, but they have to know what they get out of allowing me to do the things that I wanted to do with them, which is like, let's talk about how much you can invest. Let's talk about who needs to be in the room. Let's talk about what the right answer is going to look like in all those conversations. And I had written them all down, and I'd been using them for a very long time. And I knew I needed to write the book because there's a couple things in that book that are important. And sometimes I say things in a way that causes people not to really like how I say these things. But the first rule is control the process. If you don't control the process, or if you don't influence it, then people will disappear, and you'll have deals that are in your pipeline that have been dead for months because the client dropped out. I mean, and that happens over and over again. I don't want them to ever drop out. So if you can keep linking the connection between one to the next, like if we do this, then we'll be prepared to do this. And this is how it's going to help you get the best decision and get the best results. So you're selling every single meeting. While you're in a meeting, you're selling the next meeting, and you create value in the first meeting. And if you create enough value, then they believe that you're going to create value in the next meeting. And so I wanted to link these together. But the rule outside of control the process is the trading value rule, which means I have to tell you what you get out of the meeting so that you will give me the time to have that meeting. And this is where salespeople go horribly wrong, even from the first call. The first call is, I'd love to tell you about my company. I'd love to tell you about our solution, tell you how we're helping people like you. Totally self-oriented. There's no value proposition in that conversation except you're going to bore me to tears with a slide deck that has a picture of your company's corporate office on it or something. Nobody needs that. They need help getting better results. So you have to be consultative now. And that means that you have to teach the client what they need to know to be able to get the best results possible. If you can't trade value for the meeting and you don't understand why that meeting has to happen in a way that the client can say that would be valuable for me to have that outcome, then it's hard to get those commitments. In that book, I actually included sample language of conversations that I they're real conversations that I have, but I sort of disguised them. And I tried to keep them on one thread so you can see sort of a deal as a deal goes through there. And you can see the language. And the reason I did that is because I don't think people have enough good language to have great client conversations. And the better your language, the better your conversation. So that was the evolution of the book. I published The Only Sales Guide in October 2016. And I published The Lost Art of Closing in August of 2017. So we were working on a very, very